Good morning, everybody. It's the pollinator. And I just wanted to make a quick video. Can I make a quick video? Um, as an addendum to the one I just made for Trans Man Gentlemen's Club. I wanted to explain some things. Oh, by the way, if you appreciate the content of my videos, you can click the subscribe button over here. And you can hit that thumbs up, you can hit thumbs down, doesn't really matter. Occasionally I put videos up over here. You'll see them pop up unless you're using a TV, then you won't see them. And yeah, I would appreciate any help or exposure I can get to this channel as possible. Okay, so that's housekeeping. The addendum, I wanted to make some things clear about what I said, because the gentleman in the group may understand a heck of a lot more of what's going on than people watching that for the first time and not really knowing, oh, what is he talking about manhood? You know, what does he mean manhood? Listen, when when that group first popped up on the scene, and it could have been 3 years ago, I haven't really looked to see when it was created. But when I first popped it up, I had some gentlemen propagate that thing in different groups on that platform. And oh man, the women were going nuts. Some trans men were going nuts. And non-binaries were really going crazy, excuse me, about that group. They were making all sorts of assumptions. They were trying to make these guys explain themselves of what the group was about as if it was there for their approval. Ha! Not hardly. So I instructed them, don't answer any of those dumb questions, because it was just there to find gentlemen to join the group, not to be criticized by a bunch of people who couldn't even be a part of the group. So it caused quite a bit of ruckus. But anyway, and it wasn't called the same thing that it's called now. We changed the name once, I think. But check it out. I got my real dog tags. I lost them, I don't know how long ago. And I found a website that recreated them and you know, put all of my information on there, just in case I lose myself. No, that's not it. That's not why. Um, it's just because I didn't get any of the stuff that I had wanted, including a uniform. And I found a website that has my uniform in men's, the men's uniform, and I'm thinking very seriously into buying one. It's going to cost over $1,000 to recreate my uniform, including the stripes I had and everything. So let me make it real clear that the Trans Man Gentlemen's Club is not a place that, you know, when I talk about manhood, you have to be very careful which men you're watching out there to understand and learn manhood, or you might end up with some pretty toxic stuff. And even with guys that are seemingly toxic, the red pill guys, red pill, blue pill, whatever the fuck pill, purple pill, pink pill, you know, we don't follow that line of thinking either. And and a lot of people will try to look at the men in their lives and determine what is and is not healthy based on those men, and that would be a grave mistake as well. We cherry pick who we're watching, and then we break down what they're talking about and what to do and what not to do, as far as thinking about your manhood. Because quite frankly, yeah, there's a lot of bullshit going on out there, and there's things that are strong about men that a lot of other men think is weak, and there's things that are weak about men that people think they are strong. It takes a lot of discernment. It takes a lot of critical thinking. It takes a lot of things that you need to be aware of before you can, try things on like a coat for yourself and determine who you're going to be in this life. Because, the world is kind of sick right now, and there's a lot of toxic people. Men, women, non-binaries, it doesn't matter. There is a lot of toxicity going on, and a lot of people that are whining and complaining about this are the very people that are full of toxicity. There's misandry going on, and, women are very quick, people are very quick to call somebody that disagrees with them a misogynist or sexist or this or that. And it's all just to shut them up. It's all just to shut them down. And this is going on all over the world, having nothing to do with being trans. It's that men have been shoved in the background, their needs, their wants, their desires, who they are. We teach that men are the prize. And a lot of women would just throw up all over that one because, since the 1970s, I'd say, around then is when all this feminist movement started. And they really are a bunch of women that hate men. And they'll be the first ones to say that, no, the men hate the women. And it's like, no, we don't hate you. We're just not going to put up with your bullshit anymore. Your disrespect. But where it starts for us is to learn how to respect yourself, to learn who you are, what makes you tick, what scares you in life, where we can capitalize on your strengths and make you a little powerhouse. If there's nothing sexier to women a lot of times, it's a man who's standing on his own, who's standing on his name, who's standing on his principles, his morals, his values. And a lot of people are walking around with somebody else's set of values, mainly their parents. That's where they get them from at first. And then as you get older and you start realizing that some of the things that you were brought up to believe actually don't serve you, don't serve anybody. And it might serve the type of people and the type of women that are really out to cut your throat and to get the bag and be spoiled and all this stuff without adding value to your life. You've got to value yourself first. If you don't value yourself, other people are not going to value you. And to figure out what those values are, it takes a lot of self-reflection, a lot of self-study, self-criticism, and we don't really teach them that yet. They have to learn how to engage, because we're not just going to sit there and throw out a bunch of information if people are not going to interact and have conversations about what those things are. If there were a lot more interaction in there, then we can chop it up together and put that stuff out there in a way that's productive for all of us. Not just some guy sitting there telling you, okay, this, and that, and then you really don't have any motivation to go out and try that stuff on, to have other men hold you accountable. Men, not women. There are too many trans men listening to women. Now, if you're married to them, that's one thing, but just listening to them outright and saying that the things that they think is what you should be contemplating when you're thinking about your own manhood is not the way to become a man at all. It's a way to become some woman's bitch. And she ends up being the masculine party, the dominant party in the relationship, and you end up taking a back seat And there is a lot of that going on as well. So yeah, we teach men to believe in themselves, because a lot of people don't, and they don't respect other people. I just finished talking with a new subscriber who was just so unhealthy. She was just a nutcase. And I finally chased her off. It's like, I don't have time for this lady. I warned her a couple of times of the things that she was doing that was being disrespectful, and she was the one claiming victim. Her whole story was one big sob story that, when I dug and pulled back the curtain a little bit, come to find out, she's creating all this chaos and insanity in her relationships with men and women. And so I intentionally said things to drive her away. I don't have time to no, it's not that I don't have time. I choose not to try to heal people, heal women. It's their job to heal themselves. If they come in with too much baggage, and they come in with a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff from their childhood that they didn't resolve, they will sabotage a friendship, a dating relationship, a committed relationship, which I don't believe in. I believe if if a man doesn't put a ring on it, then there is no ultimate commitment, even though women want it that way and say, well, I've got him just because I'm dating him and he calls me his girlfriend. No, that still means you're single. And there are no laws protecting that relationship if if you're in that with a guy and he agrees to your terms. I don't let women dictate terms to me. And I don't encourage that for any of the men that are in that group. They dictate the terms. They create their universe. And although it's not religious in nature, many of the principles are founded upon religion, upon what's in the Bible and what the meaning of man is in that document. But again, we pick and choose what it is that is decent and wholesome about what a man is and what a man isn't. There's a lot of males running around, and there's very, very few men. There is a difference between men and boys, men and males, men and guys, tough guys walking around like the way to manhood is very destructive things, very violent things, very unhealthy behaviors, thinking that is the way to be a man. Now, like within the cisgender world, a lot of men's, what's that word? Rite to passage is, how many women he can fuck. His body count. And they think that's the meaning of being a man. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. How many of those men are dropping babies all over the place and they're not taking care of their children? And they're not taking care of the women that they're having the children by. Because, a man can get multiple women pregnant in one day. Women can't do that because they can only get pregnant once. But men can, spread their seed all over the place. And to me, a man is somebody who takes care of his responsibilities and is not irresponsible with his body, with his dick. Because look, if he's got 10 babies and he can only afford 2, then he's being irresponsible because he can't take care of all them kids. And if he does, he's stressed the fuck out trying to keep up with the Joneses to afford all of those children. Or he'll just get frustrated, give up, and just not take care of them. And not be a part of their lives. These children, even young adults, they need their father. which explains how I so easily fit that role in young people's lives, because their natal fathers aren't cutting it. They ignore them. They're not really concerned about how they live through life. I am the type of father that I vet the men that the women are dating, and they've got a lot of resistance to doing that. A lot of resistance. They don't want to. They don't want to tell you. They want to tell you after they done blown it and fallen for the wrong guy. Where a father will vet those men. Will talk to them. Will make sure that they're in their daughter's lives for a good reason, not just to get in her panties, which is the typical thing. So, and this country has gotten away from that. There's way too many single mothers, and I'm not saying who's to blame for that. I'm not saying it's all on the men. A lot of times it is not. A lot of times women will use their children as a tool, as a manipulation tactic on the men, and will snatch them away from the men. Nobody knows how to be in a relationship anymore. They don't know how to freaking communicate because they don't know themselves. The whole key is knowing yourself. That's what we teach. That's what we preach. You got to get up underneath your own psyche in order to determine where your unhealthy habits are. And look, it's real easy right now. We need to start with these fucking cell phones. Have you ever seen a video where there's two kids in a room? They're dating each other, and both of them are texting each other. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to communicate. One of my sons did that, and I said, boy, if you don't put that goddamn phone down and talk to her, talk to her. Well, I don't know what to say. I said, but you know what to text, right? Okay, so practice speaking what you're texting, but learn how to interact with human beings. Don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to open your mouth. Men are not afraid to open their mouth. And I'm not talking about sitting around chopping it up with each other. I'm talking about learning how to communicate with people, how to make friends. I can't tell you the number of trans men that I hear about and that I see and that I have seen that have zero friends. They're all sitting around in groups, reaching out every which way, saying, I'm looking for friends. Now, why don't they have friends? Why don't they know how to make friends? Don't you think that's an important skill to learn? It's just how to make friends, real friends. One thing that people don't notice that happened right up underneath their nose is they let social media platforms dictate who isn't a friend. You check a box and all of a sudden somebody accepts and they're your friend. No, they are not. Those are not friends. Those are acquaintances. Until you get in conversations with them, until you meet them, until you hang out with them, they are not your friends. People in Zoom calls are not your friends. Even when I did seminars, sitting right next to somebody for 3 months in a row, bonding that way. But if we don't establish more communication than that, and we only see each other around that center, those aren't your friends either. Friendship requires more effort than just sitting next to somebody or checking a box saying, will you be my friend? Or, there's people on Fuckerbook, I call it, who just collect friends that way. And the more friends they have in that manner, the better they look, the more popular they look. Not they are. they look like they have a lot of friends. But 9 times out of 10, they're not talking to all those people. They didn't even have a conversation with them when they accepted their friendship. They accepted that little box. It's a popularity contest straight out of high school. People, if you're 35, 40 years old and that's the only way you know how to get friends, you lose. Those are not your friends. And you gotta do more than that. We've got to do better. We've got to get back to learning how to communicate in effective and healthy manners. I don't know why I just thought of that girl again, but listen, she thought she thought she was gonna insult me and think I was gonna say. I said, you know what? You don't want to go toe to toe with this grown ass man over here, little girl. I will hurt your feelings on purpose if you keep putting your foot in your mouth. And she didn't even know she was doing it. She didn't even know. She was whining. Everybody hates me. I meet people and they're nice at first and then they end up hating me. And I said, really? Within 2 days, I found out why. And it was her. And I mentioned something to her when she first said it. I said, if lots of people have the same reaction towards you, and you're the common denominator, what do you think that's about? You think it's all them? None of it is you? She didn't answer the question. So I knew. I said, oop, red flag. And within another day, it was like she got on my last nerve. I was like, oh, I can't with you. Snotty, sarcastic, just, ew. That is not a healthy conversation either. And that woman, she needed a good therapist, and she'd never had one before. So she had, her head was up her ass, and I unkindly popped it out of there and pushed her on her way. Let her have the last word, thinking, because I told her this is going to end, and you're not going to be happy, because I'm gonna tell you about yourself, and then I'm gonna kick you to the curb. So she pulled the plug, thinking that she was doing something, and not realizing I did it all intentionally. Oh my God! But see. And then she kept trying to compare me to a bunch of other men out there she had seen. And I'm like, you can only compare me to me. Why are you looking all around the place trying to figure me out when the only way to figure me out and get to know me is through me? Because you can't find me on YouTube. Or you can't find me through other characters on YouTube. Or in an article. Or this or that. There may be some minor similarities, but she was looking for pinpoint accuracy that I was giving off Kevin Samuels vibe. And I guess she thought that was an insult. I said, yeah, I do. And if you don't like that, there's a door. So anyway, this is a kind of chutzpah that we are trying to give the men in that group, is that you don't have to put up with nonsense. But you've got to be able to recognize what nonsense is, because you got to recognize it in yourself. And then once you recognize it in yourself and you rid yourself of that, then you won't be attracted to people that give that to you and hang in there with them, trying to change them instead of getting the fuck out of there, getting away from them. You cannot tangle with a bunch of unhealthy people. And if you're getting on your feet to a road of health within yourself, it is not good to hang out with a bunch of people that You attract what you need to work on in yourself. So if there's a lot of people like that buzzing around you and you latch on to any of them, that says you're not, you're not paying attention to your own self-health, mental health. You're not at all. You want to tangle with these people. And that is a good sign that you're not there. You're the same as those people that you're tangling with. So I just wanted to clarify these things. That yes, we're very much gentlemen, but with a twist. Just because you're a gentleman doesn't mean you put up with a bunch of garbage. Then you're just a gentlemanly simp. You're not an alpha, you're a beta gentleman. And listen, there's nothing more pathetic than a gentleman whose whole life evolves around women. If your life doesn't evolve around yourself in order to have a lot to offer a young lady, or a young man, or a young other, or whatever, if you don't have a lot to offer yourself, then you're going to be trying to get it from that person instead of having it inside already. That's the only way to live successfully, is to have it all inside you, not have it inside of them. And then you're going after them because you don't have it in you. Oh. Wrong answer. I wish there was a way to, I've said this before in videos, but a way to how do you type out I went out and found some videos that were from the old Gong show, or old gong, that kind of sound. But the other sound, this buzz, that's this buzzer, that one is, there is no spelling of that. You can put BZZZZZZ. People still might not understand what that sounds like. Bzz. That's what it looks like. It's bzz. Not. Okay, I'm being silly. Yeah. Anyway, y'all have a good rest of your week. It's I don't know what day it is. Shit, my days. I just finished being sick all last week. I was sick, and I'm coming out of it, coming back to life, and I'll be making more videos. Stay tuned. The Pollinator is out.